or Drea had gone to cover this event that happened. This event that happened yesterday at the Thompson Rivers University, TMU. The university called this, of course, an unsanctioned rally. And it was, the likes of Francis Widdowson and Jim McMurtry, who have both been big dissenters of the unmarked mass grave claim that 215 children are buried at the Kamloops former residential school site. As we know, no evidence has been provided to ascertain that claim. And the band itself, the Kamloops Shushamwick Band, changed their language. I believe that was in 2023. They now call them unmarked anomalies, not unmarked graves. So, the proof right there, right from the horse's mouth, is in the pudding, that they themselves now are no longer contributing to that mass hysteria that ensued in 2021. We saw Prime Minister at the time, Justin Trudeau, fly out for his little teddy bear photo op. I don't know if we have the viz to show of that, but he laid this little teddy bear at one of the graves, and just took this as verbatim, that this was a fact. And despite millions in funding to find any evidence or proof, nothing 4 years plus later has been brought forward. So Drea was there covering this event with these dissenters and authors, giving the facts instead of just generating more hysteria based on feelings. And this first clip that we have is, really, it won't come to any surprise to you, Alexa, when you're out in the field, the way that you're treated. But Drea had 2 security guards with her. This is just the state of Canada and independent press heading out into these hostile, especially, sadly, hostile university environments, which were previously, historically, universities are places where you debate ideas, and, the arena of ideas are supposed to be ripe and fresh and there to debate and sift through. And sadly, now they've just become a place of violence and censorship and vile rhetoric. And so you can see that on full display in this clip here from Drea from yesterday.
I think independent media is your only real media if you get. Excuse me.
Were you allowed permits to film on campus?
Excuse me, sir.
Ma'am, were you allowed permits to film on campus?
Excuse me.
Were you allowed permits to film on campus?
I'm in the middle of doing a report.
That's fantastic. Were you allowed a permit by the campus, by the university?
This is a public place.
No, it's not. It's a private.
All right. Triggering.
On this campus that you did not receive. You're here without authorization.
All right, you guys.
Are you kicking people?
She's not kicking anyone.
I saw
you
your
guys
foot
are bullies.
kicking
Move out of the way.
Ma'am, I'm asking you a question. You're a reporter.
I don't know
I'm
who
asking
you
you
are.
a question.
Yeah, okay.
You're
well,
a
I'm the one who asks questions. I'm in the middle. You can wait. How about this? Why don't you wait until I'm done doing what I'm doing?
No, you don't show up unethically on this campus.
So, anyways.
And then disrespect the people that are here.
It's sad. It really is sad. To be so angry about the good news that there have not been 215 children's remains, and to ignore everything, all of the evidence that suggests there has been a manipulation with the tax dollars and what are being used, and to act like it's an us against them kind of thing, to say, hey, those kids didn't die. It's like the new form of Munchausen syndrome or something. They get a payoff from thinking these kids were murdered. Over 100 bands made the same false claims, meaning unproven, and not a single one has found a single body to date. Yet our university students believe that it's true. They don't have the facts. They don't have the reason. They just have the narrative, and they're so passionate about it. It's sick. It's concerning. But you know what? Things like this get people thinking, right? And that's what this is all about. One of the ladies said, this isn't the right space. Why don't you guys just come to the university and have a debate? I would love that. I have reached out so many times, of course, to the band, to the government to have these conversations. But I would love to have that debate. So I wanted to get her name. There she is. I'm going to try to get her name because she wants to facilitate that. I would love to, maybe host that. We could have Dr. Francis Widdowson, all of those things. But I've ranted enough. There will be more at this at our special website called camloopsdocumentary.com.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that documentary, it is a great one and sounds like it's worth a sequel, because the story is obviously not going anywhere at all. Alexa, you're used to that. You now need security anywhere you go in Montreal. Antifa is so out of control, violent. Canada doesn't take the same steps as they did in the US to declare it an international terrorist entity, an organization. What are your thoughts on how Drea was treated there?
First of all, I'm happy to see that the students are not as radical as in Montreal. Probably me, I would have received already paint or something on me. But the facts, actually the key here is facts. She was there to spread facts to students who should be there to learn. But instead of that, they do not want her facts because it doesn't go to their narrative. They don't want to say, oh, okay, you're right. No, they don't want that. They don't want debate. They want to shut down everything that they believe is actually propaganda. And they will just continue. And you will actually expect that in a university, students will want to learn. They will want to hear different ideas. But what we are seeing since a couple of years is that in university campuses, it's actually almost impossible to bring different ideas and to engage in debate. And I'm really worried for the next generation.
Yeah, and the one thing that caught my eye from that clip also was I presume a student coming in so hot and heavy right off the bat, asking Drea if she has a permit or an authorization to film on campus. I mean, this is so authoritarian that you would see more in like a state-controlled society rather than one that's, supposed to be free and democratic. And again, universities are supposed to be bastions of free expression and inquiry and debate and bringing the ideas to the arena to be debated. And yet they're just like parroting this idea that first you have to seek some sort of futile bureaucratic approval or authorization to, record a video or conduct interviews in these public spaces. That is stuff that we traditionally and typically would associate with a communist regime. This squashing of creativity, of thought, freedom of expression, journalism, free and democratic press, like free press is the cornerstone of democracy. This is crazy to think that any of that would require permission from state or university authority. This is the state of inquiry and schooling in 2025. There's not much inquiry happening, that's for sure.
Let me just quote Charlie Kirk. When people stop talking, it's when violence happens. And the fact that in the university, it's really difficult now to have some people from outsider who wants to come on campus and engage in debate with students. And right away you have the people who own the university who say, no, that's not going to happen. You actually create this environment. You are creating that violence that will arise afterwards because you are blocking debate. You are blocking exchange of idea. And one part of it, I will blame the university, and I will blame also some of the teachers who are literally brainwashing those kids, those students. I know that in university it's not kids anymore, but it's just like a continuation of what we are seeing in secondary school, college, and the rest of the study.
Yeah. Well, we have this other clip here also from Drea. It's just a 15-second one, but she calls this her favorite moment from the wild coverage of Dr. Francis Widdowson, Jim McMurtry, and of course, One B.C. was also there as well.
Face.
What's so funny?
What's so funny?
You're funny. You're funny.
Is Lord? What's your point?
Standing for hate.
We're just working, doing our job. Face.
Yeah, and they're just they're just clearly laughing at them, and this idea, it's like we're holier than thou. We're just going to look down on you, the wrong thinker, and we're going to dismiss anything that you have to say and laugh at you because we're better than you are. And we know more and we're more enlightened. And how dare you question our truth? That's the mindset that you're finding on these university campuses. And there it is in your face. They're laughing as Drea tries to record a monologue in front of the camera about the event unfolding at this university campus. It is absolutely disgraceful.
And I've been to university, and on my time, actually, we're more like open to debate. I just don't know what happened in between my time and now.
Yeah, well, exactly. There's a comment here, actually, I wanted to read from the section of that video. This Must Love Stocks writes, "It was a wildly sad example of emotionally stunted and brainwashed people not having skills to listen to someone's point of view that differs from theirs. Close-minded, obnoxiously rude, completely shameful. I was embarrassed for such toddler-like tantrums." I mean, I think that pretty much nails it right there.
It's exactly what is happening, and it's exactly what we should be worried about, and it's exactly what we should look into, because people are forgetting sometimes that this is our next generation will build our country. And if those people cannot engage in conversation and accept the facts, I don't know where we are going towards to.
Yeah, exactly. We have another clip here that comes from One B.C. So that's the newly formed political party in British Columbia, with Dallas Brodie and Tara Armstrong at the helm. And so they posted this clip of some of the attempts at debate that happened yesterday.
The irony of the sign. Super powerful argument. I fear for the future more than ever.
Yeah.
This is exactly some tactic being used in authoritarian dictatorship country, where you try to suppress the dissident voice by screaming as loud as you can to make sure that we can't hear them. And the fact that they bring again fascism and probably like Nazi or all derogatory term, it's just a way to justify their action against you, because first of all, they don't know what is fascism, because fascism is not what was happening. Like when you are just going to report and just to bring facts, that's not fascism. That's just being like a common sense person, just being there to report on the story. It seems like the meaning of the words have lost their meaning.
Well, the words have been perverted to fit a certain ideology. And so, unfortunately, when they've been perverted and used in a way that's not accurate or fitting, then the words lose their meaning. And so we see that happening more and more. People are like, yeah, okay, I know you're going to call me a racist, but you just call anyone you disagree with a racist. So what does that even mean now? And you're acting like a fascist and engaging in fascist like tactics and then calling me a fascist. So that really doesn't bother me anymore, because obviously the meaning of fascism has changed. And well, not necessarily that it's changed, but it's been perverted and subverted in a way that's no longer what the root of the word actually means.
And that's a slippery slope. That's a huge slippery slope.
And I think this is the last clip that we have from this one. Also comes from One B.C, where they post Dallas Brodie and Jim McMurtry came with facts and evidence. The left came with noise to drown out the truth. Watch this. Yeah, and so I mean, it's on full display, and so many people now are seeing this. And I think that, to tie it back into the initial and original clip that we showed of her presence and the coverage at this event, is that people are seeing these tactics and they're starting to wake up more and more and say, you know what, this doesn't really make sense. I mean, if you have all of this, like if you have the truth on your side, if you have the evidence, if you have the facts, then why do you need to act like a tantruming toddler? It doesn't make logical sense that you would need to conduct yourself in that way. And so more people are starting to see this for what it is. They're starting to ask more questions, starting to go, well, wait a minute, why are you calling them anomalies now if there's still this idea that there are 215 child graves in this space that we know now could have very well been like a septic drain system, or in one, I think it was Saskatchewan, when they did actually excavate a residential school property, they just found debris and trash, like it was a buried landfill essentially. So this idea that there are still 215 unmarked child graves at the Kamloops Indian Residential School without any evidence to show that that's accurate, based on highly inaccurate ground penetrating radar, and the fact the band themselves now calls these anomalies instead of graves. I mean, I think all of that just kind of speaks for itself, but you can't even get that point across because they've brought drums and song to drown out any questions or facts that could be shared. And for Drea, even something that was really compelling for me to hear her say is this should be celebrated. They should be like, okay, this is great to know that there weren't 215 child deaths at this location. We should be rejoicing. Yeah, there's Justin Trudeau with his little teddy bear putting it at the site of the alleged unmarked graves, now called anomalies. But why aren't we rejoicing? We know now that there is just some sort of like underground, a well or weeping tiles or some other thing, just could be a collection of sticks and rocks for all we know. Let's rejoice about that. Let's celebrate. That's great to know that there wasn't 215 children that died at this location. But instead, they have to buckle down on their rhetoric because there's a lot of money at stake for this investigation and excavation, which has never happened. And yet, where'd the money go? Mm-hmm. I think that's a good sequel for the Kamloops documentary, but stay tuned. Maybe we'll have more on that.
And the fact that it's not because you're seeing like there's no unmarked grave there, that doesn't downplay that, yes, some people have been suffering in the past and there is outrageous things that happened in the past. This is just about the big psyop that happened at this place that was fake, that actually hurt more the native, that this is a psyop, that if it was real, it just bring back all emotion about what happened in the past. For what? For absolutely nothing. So literally, this hurt more the native than anything else.
Right. It's almost like rehashing old trauma just for
Nothing.
For nothing, for just empty claims that had no merit or any sound evidence to go off of from the onset, right? From the onset, we had if we had a mainstream media that actually did their jobs and said, well, wait a minute, ground penetrating radar, how accurate can this be? And how can you make this assertion based on this piece of technology that's prone to misdiagnoses and, skewed results? Like, how do you know for certain? If they had literally just asked that, we would be in a very different place 3-4 years later than we are because of their failures.
And probably we will have not as many church burned.
Yeah, over 100 and continuing, right? Like that hasn't stopped. The vandalisms, the burnings, the threats, the attacks on Christianity, all of those things persist to this day. And most people, especially those, aged 55 and up, who watch the CBC, who depend on their 6 p.m. nightly news to get their information, they have no idea that the band doesn't even call these unmarked graves anymore and instead refers to them as anomalies, because they don't hear that anywhere in the mainstream news. But you can go back to their press releases and source it for yourself to see. But, when you're an aging elderly demographic who doesn't know how to navigate technology or research things on your own, you rely on that nightly news channel to keep you informed. And sadly, they haven't upheld their end of the bargain to do that in a way that's balanced, appropriate, and adequate, or accurate for that matter.